mental health activity known as VENT. Vent. A vertical of Richie Knows. Community-driven mental health solutions. By gamers, for gamers. Destigmatizing mental health. It's your brain. Delete the dread from your head. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Mental health affects us all. We are Vent. No judgment. No judgment. We got ya.
My name is Jonathan Bautista.
My name is Kitty. I go by Kitty Kaboom online.
I'm Stefan Lopezanski.
Oliver Boone.
Micah Greenleaf.
Ryder Davis.
My name is Kim.
Elijah.
Amanda.
Devonta. Derek.
Cheyenne.
Alan.
Andrew Forbes.
My name is Sharon Dunas.
And I have struggled with mental health.
My earliest notions of paranoia came up in high school.
My anger, my frustration.
It finally starts chipping away at you to one point where you do get kind of down. I suffer with anxiety currently, loneliness,
Isolation.
delusions,
Bullying.
Sadness. Fear.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I've been struggling with depression my whole life.
Still didn't know how to handle it.
When you get under that, it's really hard to get out of it.
Depression is like a shadow, and some days there might be overcast, or you might not be able to see your shadow, and you think that your depression's gone, and then when the sun comes back out, your shadow's right there, and it always will be with you.
I feel like gaming is a good way to get yourself out of that.
Just talking to them and finding peers that had similar mentality and similar interests.
It's very warm and very welcoming.
That was a huge help.
I'm so happy I have a community.
You know, I think that's like the best form of therapy, just talking to
You talk it all out, and it really helps. It really does.
Introducing Vent, a safe, supportive space from Richie Knows. We connect gamers. Well, hello everybody. I want to welcome you to our second episode of Vent Support Chats. Now, Vent is, on Richie Knows, your virtual mental health spa, where we ask about the issues that affect so many people in the gaming community, and we talk about them. Now, all of us need, I guess, a little support chat every once in a while. And Richie Knows Vent is a safe and affirmative space where we can do that. You can chat with us. You can just listen in, maybe get some insights into a better way of dealing with the things that are troubling you. Now, you may recognize me as the voice of Jim Raynor in StarCraft. And today, we're going to be talking about a very big issue: stress and anxiety. Yeah, stress and anxiety. And I want you to know that all of us on the Vent team are connected to the world of gaming and mental health in one way or another. And today, we're going to be sharing the stage with a couple of incredible guests. And I am so honored and thrilled to be the host of tonight's program. But before we get into that, I want to introduce to you, or actually reintroduce to you, my, co-conspirator, co-host, partner in crime, Sophie. How are you doing?
Robert, as always, good to see you tonight.
Yes, Sophie will be monitoring our social media stream, getting the questions from you. And Sophie, maybe you can let everybody know how they can connect with us and how they can pose those questions.
Absolutely. You guys can head over to Reddit, Twitch, Discord, or Twitter. Any one of those places. Again, I think as we've mentioned every single Vent show, we want you to be involved. Feel free to kick back and just watch, but also this is your chance to offer your support, maybe share what's on your mind, what's making you anxious right now, ask questions for our expert, ask questions to our guest, who I can tell you already is an incredibly introspective and wise woman in her own right. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good show to get involved in, and there are plenty of ways to do it.
Thank you, Sophie. Before I let you go, I want to remind everyone that Sophie is also the host of Vent Overheards, and you had a program last night that I thought was extraordinary. You had a married couple who, I guess, worked their way through really tough times, and gaming was a big part of that. Maybe you can kind of give us a quick overview of how that conversation went.
Yeah, we talked with Corey and Patrice last night, and the conversation started about being a parent who games, being a parent of a gamer, and what that means in terms of balancing their school and games or monitoring their gameplay. But the conversation really evolved into their life story, and more specifically, I suppose, Corey, the husband's story of struggle and adversity through life. And when he met Patrice, how he had kind of dealt with his mental health on his own for so many years and thought he had things to where he was in a good spot and he did well on his own. But when he met Patrice and she showed him love and support and all of this kindness, it was like a new level of liberation and freedom for him and a new step in his journey of mental health. It was a really, really incredible story.
Now, for those of you that missed that episode, it is available, on YouTube, correct?
Yes, on YouTube. And again, I think still on our Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fun too. It's an interesting thing when you talk about mental health and adversity. You'd think it would have been a really serious conversation, but they were having fun and making us laugh. So
yeah, it was a good time. Well, when you have some questions, be sure to break in and let us know.
Absolutely. Good sound.
All right, Sophie. Well, it's now. I'm really excited about this because this lady is someone that we met in Philadelphia. She's a gamer, and she's what I call a thinker. She's one of those people that has not only experienced, like we all have, adversity in life, but she really has thought deeply about it and what it all means. And from that comes some real nice wisdom. And there's a maturity that's associated with it that I found really compelling and interesting. And I want to first share with you a little snippet of that conversation that we had with Nafisa.
So my solutions for mental health are on an individualistic level. I think that everyone that is dealing with mental health should try to pinpoint certain hobbies that they really enjoy and use those as a means to deal with depression or anxiety or any other type of mental health issue that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with depression, I think you should focus on the moment and realize that the past is gone and you'll never get it back. So it's best to try to move on in life by not letting that continue to affect your present. There are many people that grow up in troublesome situations, and even as an adult, it's hard to look past those situations. That's something that I had to deal with. I'm happy to say I got on the other side, and I now see it as a learning process of what I don't want in my life, what I don't want in a partner, what I don't want for my future family. I think it's best to see childhood trauma and just your family or friends in general, things that have happened in the past with them. I think it's best to pick and choose what you do and don't want in your life. I think sometimes we choose our family just to know what we don't want or do want in the future for our own family. Dating today is subjective and it's what you make it. And I know a lot of people can get overwhelmed in the dating arena right now because they seem like they think that they can't find that one person or a monogamous relationship. But I am finding that you just have to look in the right places and be discerning.
Nafisa, when I first saw that video, I pulled out a pencil and I started scribbling questions because I had so many things I wanted to ask you. The first one was, you said that the past is gone and you'll never get it back. And there's, it sounds simple to say something like that, but it seems that it's so hard for people to let go of the past, and they allow that to define their present, and they can't really be present. How did you get to that point where you understood that, hey, listen, what's past is past. I got to be here now?
Well, I agree that it's easier said than done. It's really easy to come to that decision or that type of conclusion about depression.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very simple, but actually doing it and getting to that point is quite difficult. And I say I'm like 80%, 70% there, but not fully 100%.
Well, I think, by being 70 or 80% there, that just lets you know that there's always room to improve. There's always, I would hate to think that we've learned everything we're ever going to learn in life. There's always new information that's coming to you and new surprises in store. Now, you also said that it was important to understand not only what you do want, but what you don't want. I mean, everybody seems now they focus on what they want. How did you integrate that into the way that you deal with life?
Well, I think it's mainly stems from my upbringing. There was a lot of good and bad in it, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to repeat for yourself, your children, other people that'll, generations down the line, and what you're sure you don't want. But that can apply not just with, family and upbringing, but with relationships like, romantic relationships or education systems. It can apply to a number of things.
Well, I
just think it's a way of not seeing everything as I think it's a way to not see all negative experiences as just bad and mope about it, kind of. You can learn from it and decide that that's not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes...
Think of it that way.
Yeah, oftentimes...
That it was introduced in your life to know what you don't want.
Yeah, oftentimes those losses are really where you learn. I mean, if you succeed at everything you do, are you really stretching yourself? That's a challenge. I'd like to bring into the conversation someone who, I'm so honored that she agreed to spend a few minutes with us on tonight's show. This woman is the co-president of NAMI West Los Angeles, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. She's taught NAMI courses to clients for many years. She's trained teachers there. She's also been the team captain of the NAMI Los Angeles Walk fundraising event. And most importantly, even though she's got all the credentials that you would ever ask from somebody to give you advice, she's got an incredible heart. So please welcome to the show, and I'm so honored, Sharon Dunas.
Thank you so much for welcoming me. Thank you. Thank you.
Sharon, your thoughts. I mean, stress and anxiety are huge common issues in gamers. What are your thoughts about that?
Our former guest was onto something. She was onto something when she talked about living in the past, and people ruminate. They ruminate, and that rumination about I should have, I could have, I would have, causes stress, and and people in relationships get upset with themselves for behaving a certain way, or they get really angry at their significant others, and that causes stress, rather than knowing that we're all imperfect, and we all need to kind of flow and surrender and accept. We can't improve the quality of some relationships. We can't improve our behavior of yesterday, and you won't believe it, but my dog is barking outside.
Hopefully the dog is not increasing the stress level.
No, but should I shut the door? Is that okay? The dog
I don't know. I'm a dog lover, so, maybe he has something to add to the conversation.
Well, anyway, dogs are very stress reducing. Having an animal, a cat, a dog, is very stress reducing. And I am a licensed clinician. And I always tell my clients when they're dealing with lots of stress, get a dog. Get a dog. And because a dog brings you down to the present. And that's what our former guest was talking about, living in the present. We can't fix the past. We can't predict the future. And you miss the day you're in if you keep thinking about the past or worrying about your future. What should I say? What should I do? How am I going to handle that? And then you miss the day. And all of these things cause stress. And stress produces anxiety.
What's the difference between stress and anxiety?
Well, anxiety is a symptom. It's a symptom that the brain and the body go into. When people are anxious, they have shortness of breath. Their muscles tighten up in their neck, their back. They get tense. If they have blood pressure problems, their blood pressure may rise. Anxiety literally causes physical symptoms and a sense of being utterly overwhelmed. I can't get this done. I can't do it. A sense of this is too much. It's too much. It's too hard. And so anxiety is a common problem. We have to have some anxiety. Without it, we would never hang up our clothes. We would never clean up a room. We must have some anxiety. It's here to stay. We'll never rid ourselves of all anxiety. But we can use it purposefully in our lives rather than have it destroy us. And gaming is a perfect out for anxiety and stress. It's an out because in gaming, we transcend the self. We literally transcend the self, and we're not there. We're in the game. And it's a wonderful relief to be in the game and not be thinking about self and ruminating. So
Well, I'd like to explore that a little bit more, but we actually went out and we asked gamers their advice and how they deal with stress and anxiety. And I think we have a little bit of a video that we can share with you. So let's take a moment and take a peek.
What is mental health?
That's a hard one.
That's such a deep question.
It's a bunch of different things together.
But I do know that I think mental health in general is just something that isn't talked about.
Mental health isn't really talked about a lot.
But sometimes I just feel like I'm not enough.
Start counting your losses or start counting your defeats, you know?
I was just upset with myself, and I would tend to take it out on my family.
It was a lot of loneliness, depression.
Anxiety is a train moving really fast down a track, and you're not sure if it's going to hang on.
Yeah, just kind of off the rails.
There's so many different things that people could go through.
Everyone struggles with mental health, whether you have a diagnosis or most people don't.
Solutions. My mental health solutions are find something you love to do, stick with it.
Learning who you are, what you like.
You want to figure out what makes you happy.
You gotta focus on yourself. You really have to focus on yourself like 100% of the time.
Hey, I need this. I need some self-care.
Try hard to focus on the wins instead of the losses. You can live life as if everything is a miracle or as if nothing's a miracle.
Let's go outside. Let's get you some sun.
But you got to make sure you speak up.
Don't try to fight your battle on your own.
It kind of lifts the weight off your shoulders when someone's able to relate.
We're all speaking the same language, speaking the gaming language.
It feels good, you feel like you're right at home.
We're here for you, and Vent is here for you too.
Introducing Vent, a safe, supportive space from Richie Knows. We connect gamers. Sharon, your thoughts on what you just heard from the gamers?
Very positive idea, all of them. I got to take care of myself. I've got to pay attention to myself. I've got to be kind to myself. That's sort of a part of the human condition is people are very self-critical. Unless we train ourselves to be kind to ourselves and compassionate, we all need a dose of self-compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. And, and I think they were all heading in that direction to take care of themselves and to do better with themselves. And I like the man who talked about anxiety is a train coming. It's a train that's going to take me somewhere. And we can stop that level of anxiety by taking care of ourselves, by putting one foot in front of the other, doing something proactive, which is kind for ourselves.
Yeah, it seems that quite often we're our own worst enemy when it comes to this. I found a quote this week. Not sure whether it came from Mark Twain, Teddy Roosevelt, or somewhere else, but it said that comparison is the thief of joy. How does that factor? Because it seems like in the world that we live in, we're constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else, and that can only create, I would imagine, more stress and anxiety.
Comparison is a black cloud for all of us, and we shouldn't do it. There will always be people more beautiful, more intelligent than you. There'll always be people less intelligent than you. There'll always be people older than you or younger than you. Comparisons are absolutely odious. And if we can take up any practice to not do comparisons, we each have our own individual path in life, and no two paths are alike in any way. So just make choices for your path for you, and don't compare yourself to anybody. I think it was Mark Twain that said that quote.
I know. I was looking it up. It was. I think C.S. Lewis was also claimed to have said it. We're not sure, but it's very relevant. Nafisa, how does that factor into your thinking? Is that something that you found yourself doing, where you're looking at what everybody else was doing and went, "Geez, I can't do that," or and you kind of beat yourself up a little bit about it, or was it something you just said, "You know what? I'm me. I don't need to worry about anybody else. I'm going to focus on who I am."
Definitely. I think I did compare myself a lot to people in the past and be at a certain place in life because I was comparing myself to other people. And I think with the age of social media, it's really easy to do that. And it's dangerous, but it is kind of human nature to. I think it's better if you just take it as you're inspired by people or motivated by people, but not comparing yourself to them. I think that's a better strategy and less damaging. And also not to think of people as above or below you, but just, a little further ahead in life. And you can get there too.
Sharon, you talked about, we all have, I guess, having a certain amount of anxiety is a good thing. You're never going to get rid of it. How do you know whether you've tipped over the edge, where it's getting to be the point of where it's a problem for you?
Extra worried and extra tense, and you will feel it, and you have to take some action. Some physical action is great to deal with anxiety. To run up and down the street, to do jumping jacks, deep breathing. Take 10 slow, deep breaths, and focus on something in your environment, like focus on a picture in a room or focus on a tree outside, and just do 10 slow breaths and focus on an object outside of yourself. And that can be very helpful for anxiety.
I did martial arts for a lot of years, and one of the questions that people asked was, if I'm in a situation where I'm stressed out, I'm in danger, how do I deal with that? And one of the things we would tell people is that the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you're in a stressful situation, if you just think about, okay, what is the color of that shirt? You don't allow the stress to get in. And I read an article today that the Navy SEALs have a breathing technique that they use to deal with stress, and it called it like square breathing or circular breathing, where you breathe in on a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then just leave it there for a count of 4. You do that for a few minutes, the stress goes away. Are there other techniques that people can do to kind of alleviate or deal with the stress?
Well, the breathing, I have an Apple Watch, and in the Apple Watch is a 5-minute breathing exercise with a big flower that when you take the in breath, a big flower opens up, and when you exhale, a little teeny flower shows. So the Apple Watches help people relax and breathe. And Yes, focusing on one other thing outside yourself. Focusing on, you can imagine yourself holding a friend's hand or a, an advisor of yours, a rabbi, a minister walking with you. To imagine yourself in a safe place, a safe place. I'm sitting beside my bed and I'm down on the floor and my dog is here. So imagining yourself in a very safe place can be helpful too. There's many ways to deal with anxiety. Many.
I think Sophie actually has a question, but I wanted to ask Sophie a question because you also have an app you were talking about, this kind of a meditation app that you go to that helps you to kind of calm down if you're having a stressful experience.
I did. I just as Sharon was talking, I jotted it down, thinking it's an app called Shine, and I know there's a bunch of them out there that it's like a headspace type, and this one to me felt like it was right for me. There's all kinds of resources out there. NAMI obviously provides tons of them, but when you find one that works for you, it is really great, and it's one that walks you through breathing exercises. It takes you through those grounding exercises, like you mentioned, Sharon, like focusing on something or, going through like sensory different things. And like you said, Robert, it really does kind of take you down to where you need to be. Or I find that starting my day with them helps, kind of like proactively knowing that like, oh, I could spiral, today. If I know I've been ruminating on something and it could come back to bite me, if I start the day with it, it really helps. But with that being said, we got a question for Nafisa kind of along those lines about, talking about ruminating in the past. This is from Drew. So in moments where thoughts of your past take you out of being present and catch you off guard, how do you snap out of it? Is there something that you kind of learned to do, I guess, when all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm like back in that headspace?
I usually take walks. That's what's meditated for me personally, but I think it's all on an individualistic level. You have to find out personally what helps you clear your mind. I think it's okay to think about certain things that have happened in the past, mainly if it's applying to your future or your present. But if it's just something in the past that's done and doesn't apply anymore that you can't really do anything about, I think it's, you analyze it, understand it for what it is, and try your best to move forward past that.
Sharon, I read a stat earlier today that said that 55% of the gamers they play games because they want to deal with the stress, that it helps as a stress relief. And I was curious, at what point is it a point when you're playing a game where it kind of is counterproductive? I mean, what's the appropriate kind of a formula or combination to make it work where you can help alleviate stress but not, just escape or just not avoid dealing with life in general? I guess is too much of a good thing a bad thing? Is that even possible?
But if it's stopping you from functioning in areas of your life that you want to function in, it can be a bad thing. If it's, limiting you a lot with any goals or any accomplishments. I know when you're feeling really anxious, gaming transcends the self, and it's such a relief. If you're not gaming, I have everyone I work with keep a little journal and just write one thing I'm grateful for today, and one thing I did well today. And that takes you out of that rumination with the past. Because, I took a shower and washed my hair today. That's a good thing. It doesn't have to be a monumental thing. And one thing I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for my mom got me at the market this and this, and I love that, whatever it is. So it's you could never answer that question.
It seems like it's easy to be miserable. It's harder to be happy. It takes a little bit more work, and you have to kind of be a little bit more nuanced in the way you're looking at life and dealing with things. But it's not impossible. I read another thing about the key to happiness. The number one is having meaning and purpose in your life. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about.
No one is happy all day long till the night. We're happy in spurts. We might have a whole afternoon of feeling happy, and something else happens at night and we're miserable. Our mood can change all the time, depending upon what we're focusing on and what the circumstances of our life is. So just be grateful for the happiness coming in spurts.
Yeah, if you didn't have the lows, then the highs wouldn't be meaningful, right? I mean, life is that way.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know you were happy if you didn't have the lows.
Yeah, you'd just be like a robot or something. And emotions are there for a reason. And
having a purpose is incredibly healing. Having a purpose in life, incredibly healing, for all of us. To work at a dog hospital, to work as a volunteer walking dogs, it's incredibly healing for all of us to have a purpose.
Is that kind of what attracted you to helping people with mental health?
Well, I grew up with some pretty unstable parents, and one of my daughters became acutely mentally ill with psychosis when she went away to college. So psychosis means you have thoughts and beliefs shared by no one else.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt this is where I belong. I'm a licensed clinician, and I belong helping families with mental health issues because I've experienced so much of that myself in my own childhood and my adult life.
Wow.
And I'm happy to help. And it gives me purpose.
Well, I want to thank you for spending some time with us. First, let me say, Nafisa, do you have any closing comments before we say goodnight?
No, but I think this Richie Knows is such a courageous communication tool for so many young humans. They won't feel alone because they'll have a sense of community. They won't feel isolated because they'll feel they belong. I think Richie Knows. I hope it takes the nation by storm. That's what I hope.
Before you go, you had mentioned something about mental illness is really, I guess, an area of discrimination that really hasn't been addressed. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you meant by that?
Well, even when Franklin Roosevelt, started the Social Security benefits, he excluded the mentally ill from getting benefits. So the mentally ill have always been discriminated against. It's the last part of our population that we totally stigmatize and discriminate against. Mentally ill people, when they get disability checks, they get about $700 a month. Did you ever pay rent and eat? And they can't go to movies. They can't do anything on $700 a month or pay rent and board and care and eat at 7-Eleven. That is discrimination. They're not cared for. Disabled people. And 3/4 of disabled people are mentally ill people. So it's very sad. I hope it's changing. I mean, Simone Biles, our gymnast, and Naomi Osaka, who dropped out because she couldn't handle the pressure of public speaking, is changing the course for talking about mental illness. I heard Naomi Osaka dolls are outselling. They made Naomi Osaka dolls, and they're outselling any dolls. And yes, let's talk about these things. Let's open up and be authentic and real.
It's like you're writing the, I guess the working papers for Richie Knows, because this is exactly what it is we're trying to do. This is our mission statement, is to create a safe, affirmative space where people that are dealing with issues can come here without judgment, can get help. And by the way, NAMI is an amazing organization. I want to stress that what you're doing there is incredible. Plus, it's free for people, correct?
The offers is for free. The classes, the support groups, the speaker meetings, everything is free in NAMI because we know how expensive mental illnesses are. Paying for psychiatrists and medications and whatever, so NAMI, everything in NAMI is for free. www.namila.org is the one for LA. But they're
I'm
all
sure
information.
Yeah, we're going to put up a slide that has all that contact information on it. Nafisa, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And Sharon, again, thank you for taking the time. We're all of a like mind here. And we're trying to help people. But gamers, we need your input. For us to truly be able to help you, we need a partnership with you. And that's what this is all about. It's gamers helping gamers. And as we say, it's okay not to feel okay. So again, thank you, Sophie, for all your help. And we're going to put up information how everybody can connect up with organizations like NAMI. And as I like to say at the end of each show, when it comes to mental health. Oh, what is it, Sharon? You had another thing.
For all of your well-spoken attitude this evening about Vent, I think you've done an excellent job yourself. Excellent. I think they should keep you on.
Well, thank you. That's really very sweet. I'll tell you what. I'll stick around if you'll stick around. How about that?
Okay. Well, I think you two, Sophie and Robert, should definitely be on a lot.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm not going to speak for Sophie, but if you ever need me in any way, Sharon, I'm there for you. You are amazing.
Well, that is dangerous because I have both your phone numbers.
Uh-oh. I usually have my phone on silent, so if I don't answer it, don't take it personally.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Richie, for creating this incredible communication tool for people struggling with brain issues and people just struggling in general.
Thank you, Sharon. Well, everyone, I want to wish everyone a very pleasant evening. And as I like to say, when it comes to mental health, some things are just worth fighting for. Good night.